Thank you, everyone, and thank you, Ben, for that introduction. I don't know about any of you, but I'm having a great time tonight. And you'd think after 10 of these dinners that the 11th one would be a little ho-hum, but when we get to 90 tables and 870 people, there's nothing ho-hum about that. Thank you. Of course, one of these years, we may well get to 1,000 people and score 100 tables, and if we do, I think we'll get the Blazers to give us all coupons for free chalupas. For those of you who didn't get that joke, I'm sorry. So let's have also a round of applause for the person most responsible for organizing tonight, our development director, Molly Kramer. Thank you, Molly. And thanks once more to all of you, because this celebration only works because of the incredible sponsors we have, and for all of you who just care passionately about the fate of our planet and the fate of the natural legacy we have here in Oregon. At last year's dinner, when I was giving this presentation, I opened up by mentioning Spider-Man 3, a movie that was opening up in a few weeks. And I want to apologize now to anybody who actually saw Spider-Man 3 on my account, because it really wasn't a good movie. But the reason I mention that movie is because the first Spider-Man movie was a great allegory about the concept of responsibility, which is a concept that is really at the heart of what OLCV does and that we've been talking a lot about in our work. And I'd like to branch off responsibility a little bit and talk about a related word, which is legacy. Because legacy is really also at the heart of what we're talking about at OLCV. If you look up legacy in Merriam-Webster Dictionary, the first definition is a legal one, a gift by will, especially of money or of personal property. And if anybody wants to talk to Molly and I about that type of legacy, we'd be happy to. But I'm here tonight to talk about the second definition of legacy, which is something transmitted by or received from an ancestor or predecessor or from the past. Now, I like that concept because it involves both a giver and a receiver. There's two parts to it. We receive a legacy from those who came before us, and we have a responsibility to pass on a legacy to those who come after us. And there's really three types of legacies that we could talk about tonight. I've already mentioned our natural legacy, the incredible diversity of plants and animals, the natural splendor that makes Oregon so special that we're blessed with to have. And we also can talk about organizational legacy because OLCV is 36 years old, and that incredible history has been built upon countless volunteers and staff who've come before us and built our capacity to make a difference for Oregon. And of course, we have a political legacy in Oregon, particularly around the environment. Sometimes it's referred to as the McCall legacy because Tom McCall was so instrumental as governor in the 1970s at really building the Oregon tradition of environmental protection. And in 2007, for the first time in a long time, we can really say that the Oregon legislature lived up to the McCall legacy. 16 positive, clearly good, great, positive pro-environment bills passed, the most since we started keeping track in 1973. All 5 of the priorities for Healthy Oregon of the Oregon Conservation Network became law, thanks in part to Measure 49 passing. And the average rating on OLCV's scorecard reached the highest level since 1977. By any way of measuring it, the legislature took huge strides in restoring Oregon's legacy of environmental leadership. And I want to personally thank all of the legislators here tonight who helped make that possible. Thank you. And let's not forget all the legislative staff who are here tonight who worked tirelessly behind the scenes to make it happen. Thank you. Of course, the work that was so successful in the session didn't start in January of 2007. There were a lot of important elements that came before, and I'll just mention 2. The first is that in June of 2006, more than 20 conservation and environmental groups came together and selected priorities for Healthy Oregon. And not only did those priorities pass, but the teamwork, cooperation, and coordination that were engendered by the priorities really was a catalyst for the session being so successful. And I'd really like to thank all of my colleagues in the room from other environmental groups who rallied behind the priorities in 2007. Thank you. But of course, there was an event in between June of 2006 and January 2007 that was kind of important too, and it was the election. And as everyone knows, it was a great election year in 2006, and the session in 2007 was so successful in large part because of the hard work that OLCV and so many of our allies have done in the trenches working to elect pro-environment candidates. In 2006, this led us to win 16 of our 22 targeted races for city, county, and state levels. So how'd we do it? We did it thanks to more than 1,300 volunteers who talked directly to voters at the door and on the phone about which candidates they can trust when it comes to the environment. And when you get those calls from our incredibly hard-working staff asking you to volunteer, you can rest assured that this type of personal contact works. Our post-election data crunching after 2006 found that among voters who have a history of voting very infrequently, when we successfully talked to them, there was a 12.5% increase in the amount that they voted. And when after the election, we surveyed 2,500 Oregonians, we found that among the independently registered voters that we talked to, there was a 9.2% swing towards the pro-environment candidate for the ones that we talked to compared to the ones we were not able to. So those calls, those door knocks, they matter, whether we're the one asking you to volunteer or a candidate's asking you to volunteer or some other organization. Don't hesitate to participate directly in talking to your neighbors in that way. So a lot of what we're going to be talking about this year is obviously the elections. But the thing to keep in mind, as focused as we get this year on the election, is it's not actually about the elections. And it's not even about what bills the legislature is going to pass or what budgets get funded. It's what comes after the bill that's passed or the budgets that's funded that matters. It's about the poisons kept out of our rivers so people can boat and swim and fish safely. It's about cleaner air so asthmatics can breathe more easily. It's about families able to access nature, whether in their neighborhood park or in a wilderness area. Even with the progress that we saw in 2007, the challenge of promoting a responsible environmental legacy for Oregon's families remains and is urgent. So our challenge in 2008 is to talk to voters about how further action on the environment will better their lives. And when we do that, and we're consistent with our message, the evidence is clear that the voters will back the candidates who will make the environment a priority. So it's kind of a straightforward cycle. Evaluate candidates, win elections, lobby for priorities, and by working through this cycle together, we can turn the environmental values shared by a majority of Oregonians into state priorities. The polls show that. The majority of Oregonians share the environmental values that all of us have in this room, and it's through the political process that we can turn those into public policy. Now, the most important word in those last couple sentences isn't environment or values or priorities, it's we. Our legacy as an organization and all that we can do is only as strong as the support of the people in this room and all of our other supporters around the state. It's we. We've had thousands of volunteers walk door to door and do get out the vote phone calls for us the last few elections. And so what I'd really like right now is for everyone who's volunteered for OLCV to stand up and stay standing. So then we also have 5,000 members and donors. I'd like everyone who's donated to OLCV to stand up and stay standing. And since I think there are some people who are still not standing up, if you've ever volunteered or donated to a candidate that OLCV has supported, then stand up. And if you're still not standing, if you plan to vote for a pro-environment candidate this year, stand up. So look around and thank everyone around you, the we here, for the work we're doing that we've done in the past to support the environment, for the work we're doing right now in the May primary, for the work we're going to be doing this fall and years to come to build upon this legacy. Thank you. As the evening progresses, you'll hopefully be informed and inspired. We'll provide you some more specific opportunities for ways you can help. But most of all, this is a celebration, so please have fun. Thank you for joining us this evening.